a Business Insider article talking about a biohacker named Left Anonym caught my eye recently. They are a person who has personally implanted over 50 chips, antennae, and magnets into their body in an effort to become a cyborg. They carry out these operations on themselves without anesthetic and without any particular guarantee of safety, in order to share information about this process with their transhumanist internet peeps. They've stated, "I did it for kicks. I just wanted more senses." Their implants include a chip card reader and devices in their wrist and devices in their fingers that allow them to sense the distance between their hands and objects through touch. The article also reported on a ballerina in the same circles who implanted seismic sensors into her feet to allow her to detect earthquakes across the world. These actions don't go without risk. Several of Anonym's implants have caused infections and serious health problems. They insist on doing it anyway as a blueprint for future biohackers.
Okay, that is, I get transhumanism,
yeah,
but it's a broad term. It's a broad term. So I want to be careful about what I say, because, some people might feel that they fall under this blanket, transgender people or even just body modification people maybe feel like they fall under this.
Yeah.
But to the point where you're just sort of like rando cutting yourself open and shoving crap in there, that's a mental illness.
Yeah, I have mixed feelings on this. I think this guy is a complete weirdo. Yeah, and I think he's hurting himself.
Yeah, he's hurting inside is what he is.
Yeah. Then again, I think, everyone has the right to, if you're an adult, I think you should be able to modify your body as you see fit.
Oh yeah, don't get me wrong. I'm opposed to a lot of stuff that shouldn't be illegal. Just because I'm sitting here saying that's stupid doesn't mean it should be illegal.
Right. So that said, I don't think this person is mentally ill either. I think they're very committed to this.
You think it's an art form?
Well, no, I think this is I think they are maybe unhealthily committed to these very sort of fringe political beliefs and the viability of transhumanism as a thing. I think most transhumanists I talk to have extremely optimistic and inflated senses of how soon neuromancer-ish technology is going to be here.
Oh yeah, we're nowhere near. I mean,
yeah, no, we're not. But
how cool is a chip reader in your wrist that you then have to go to a screen to read? It's not like he reads it and then his eyes light up and he goes, "Oh well, we have access to their personal information. Engage."
Right. No, the practical value of any of this is incredibly dubious, and it's almost certainly much worse for him.
Yeah, it's a party trick.
Yeah, no, it's a complete gimmick. And so it's these people tend to think, well, this is the stepping stone to, we'll all be cyborgs. I think it's more that they're trying to normalize this because they think the technology is a few decades away. It seems like it's more like a few centuries away.
Oh.
That's more what it seems like from just reading what AI people are saying and what, people who study just the brain are saying. These are, I think people are much too sanguine about when we're going to have, super cool bionic arms that are wired right into our nervous system, right?
Right. Like in the case of the ballerina. So she has these things in her feet that can sense earthquakes around the planet. Oh my God, super cool. Okay, it is cool. But is she a cyborg? So let's say I have things in my feet that sense, this is a perfect example. I don't even have to come up with another one. I have a thing in my pocket that can sense seismic vibration. Now, but if I were to surgically put this thing in my chest, but then still had to go to a mirror and unlock it and read it to
Right.
see what the seismic vibrations were. Am I really a cyborg, or am I really just kind of a wagon at that point that's dragging around the device that can't be removed from me? I don't think I'm a cyborg at that point. I think I'm just stuck to something.
I mean, I do want to clarify, it's not like with these sensors and with the stuff, this is a situation where they can just like by feel determine sort of what's going on, because these devices like vibrate. They send sensations in.
I mean, I do get that. That is interesting.
Yeah, it's cool. It's still completely impractical and dangerous. So, but I would say
hard to sleep, distracting. There's so many chemical things that you could be damaging just by being aware of the spinning of the Earth 24/7.
Right.
I don't know. Just
I'm hoping they have some way to like turn some of these guys off. Right.
Yeah, totally. Like, yeah, it's probably an app on their phone that they have to lose. Oh, luckily I have a tile on my phone though, so I just have to, beat my ear and my tell me where my phone is so I could turn off my foot. Or maybe they have a switch on their foot, But I did, this does, as much as I'm making fun of this, I do get the scientific implication of it. I watched a show once where they were talking about how we would communicate with aliens. And that while humans have their senses, there are other senses on the planet. And it's very likely that we can meet another species that doesn't have speech, or that doesn't have sight, or that doesn't have hearing, or that doesn't have any of those, that just has other senses. And so they took these students in a class and they blindfolded them and put ears on them. And they put, I think I told you this, they put a belt around their waist with, it was British, so they must have a different word. They referred to them as vibrators, but they were basically boxes that go around your waist, and whichever one is facing north vibrates. So while the people are blinded and deafened, they always know which point is north. So they took away two senses, but gave them another one, and then have them try to like navigate a maze just through their ability to smell, touch, and know where north is.
And they, if I'm remembering, because I think I heard about this, if I'm remembering correctly, like after enough time with these devices, like they worked it out and they could, they were pretty effective with them.
Yeah, well, they definitely started to learn to, the first attempts were not pretty.
No,
but by their future attempts, they were navigating it pretty good, and they were changing the maze around too. So and the skill level was actually growing as well.
In fact, I was listening to a podcast about this, and there have been a bunch of experiments kind of like this. At one point, there was also an experiment where people had these vests on that were basically the same thing, but they had sort of a constellation of different vibrating bits that were all connected to like basically the emotional moods of other people. And basically over time, they could learn to sort of understand what was going on just by like the different vibrations, and sort of understand what was going on with this different person, just because their brains sort of subconsciously learned to interpret what the vest was doing. And then there was another guy who wore this vest for a while and basically hooked it up to an AI that combs social media for like certain keywords just about what's going on in the world. And so this vest became just sort of a like vibe detector for the entire world.
Oh, that'd be interesting, especially if you could tie it into a local bubble. Like, I want to set this to GPS isn't great, but I can set it to a 10-mile radius or something.
Right.
So you're just picking up social cues from your 10-mile radius.
Yeah. So there is some interesting stuff like that. But again, not necessary to do home surgery on yourself. And
especially if you're a ballerina on your feet.
Exactly. Although I will say, if you're worried about people hurting themselves, just doing ballet
Oh
Yes.
yeah, totally. My cousin's
Probably
toes.
way more harmful than implanting stuff into your body. So
My
people
cousin's
already hurt themselves.
my cousin's toes are gross. They're all like,
Right. Yeah.
yeah, that's super funny. Yeah, I don't know, and well, we got to move on through this, but I got to throw one last thing in here, and that is this technology, when they find a use for it and it's effective, you won't have to normalize it, and you won't have to sell it. You didn't have to sell your phone.
Right.
You didn't have to sell glasses. You put value on this technology and people stick it on their bodies. You don't have to normalize it.
Yeah, I think you're right.
But being a scientist, he did not consider human emotions.
No one takes my gun.
Tony, look out! He did not know about the uninhibited exhibitionism of a striptease dancer. He'd forgotten about the power of love and knew nothing about the vicious force of jealousy.
Nothing ever come easy to me.
Don't touch me. I can't stand you.